Question of the day. What am I thinking right now? Now, it's not something super obvious where the other team will guess this, but it's also not something super obscure to where you won't be able to guess it, or it's supposed to be. That's what we're talking about today. This borderline Venn diagram between obscurity and applicability, between a clue giver and a guesser who randomly gets assigned to that person's team. That's what we're starting with Subtext today. Stronghold Games in the States and Wolfgang Warsch. Let's take a look right now at this drawing game, how it plays, how it involves a little bit of mentalism and strangeness, like syncing up two minds and trying to be obscure while not being too obscure while drawing and trying to get people to guess right now. Subtext is in fact a drawing game at its core, and basically what's going to happen is you will play with up to 8 different people. It does play a lot. That's the one thing I do like about it. It is 4 to 8 people, so obviously you have to have a higher player count. It comes with all these different colors that match the different player colors in the game, and cute little things like there's a rabbit in the hat. How appropriate, right, for the end of this video. There's a cactus, there's a ghost, all kinds of cool stuff, right, and then pencils. And it comes with this teeny tiny little piece of pad here. Poof, boom, it's over here. Basically, this little tiny pad is meant so that you can draw your image rather quickly and obscure. You'll understand why that's important in a minute. You'll take your image that you've drawn and you'll put it under one of these slots here. We'll talk about why that's important in just a second, because there are these cards that everyone will get. So here's how it's going to work. One person will be the chosen person at the beginning. You're going to be playing with 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 difficulty. Depending on what you sit up here at the top, that is the difficulty you will be using for the rest of the game. Or I guess technically until you decide to change. But number 3, you'll take one of these cards, you will look at it. My clue is then Chaplin, right? Or if I had this one, it would be Presley. Now I might want to draw something on Elvis, except that might be too obvious, right? Here's why that's important. I'm going to get this card. I'm then going to take the amount of players minus 1, because that's obviously this card. So let's just say we're playing with a 4-person game. So that would be 1, 2, 3 other cards. We're going to shuffle these up. We're going to mix them all around. And then everyone else, I'll know my word is Presley. Everyone else will get one of these cards, right? Well, I guess it's actually minus 2. Sorry, it's minus 2. So in a 4-person game, you would actually only be passing out 3 cards because there's 3 other people up there. They're going to get their card, they're going to look at it, they're going to see what they have. So this one is obviously the same one. This one is wood for number 3, and this one is submarine. So what's going to happen is you're going to try to very obscurely draw what your clue is. And the reason I say you're going to obscurely draw it is because when it's all done and everyone's laid their pictures here, you are all at the same time basically going to try to guess which one of these pictures over here on the right best matches what you think the picture on the left is trying to say. Now I just picked 3 out of the box randomly, and I can tell you for certain these are not from the right round because none of these make sense at all. But that's kind of the point. It's supposed to look so nonsensical almost that only the 2 people with the word that actually got to see the word will get it and go, oh, that's it. Right? For instance, the word was mobile, not mobile, but we live in the town called Mobile, and I drew this. Again, little not that obscure because it is in fact the Bayway and the buildings that are very prominent on the Mobile skyline. No one got it, so I guess it was obscure enough. But the problem we kept having was that people would draw things that you would think would be obscure. You would think, no one's going to get this, and yet they would. They would end up getting it and knowing who matched who like almost instantly. So it became a little bit frustrating because it just didn't work. What was ideally promised just didn't work, right? For instance, how about that? Bowling ball on a fisher's hook. That's actually an egg being cooked in a pan. Someone just drew it as if they were a flounder, basically. But why does this explanation not make sense? Because that's kind of how we felt playing the game. You would draw your picture. Surely no one would be able to tell if you were the one that got the, you wouldn't even know it yourself, but no one would be able to tell, right? You're drawing so obscure that everyone's just going to have no clue except the clue giver because they're going to realize the witty wonderfulness of your drawing and they're going to instantly pick the right one. Now what happens is if you and the clue giver pick the right one, you score points if everyone else misses it. And then if if you're not the clue giver, you score points based on correct guesses and such as that. It's a weird, actually kind of confusing scoring system, but the whole point is this. At the end of the day, not once, not one single time did what was supposed to happen. And I say at the end of the day, I mean days, because we've played this many times, and it just didn't work. I'll talk about that right now in the final thoughts, why I'm a little frustrated with Subtext. Now, most of you know that Carl and I, we are stage magicians. That's what we do for a living. We travel all across the world doing these crazy illusion shows, mentalism, mind reading, all that sort of stuff, right? It's fun. We have a good time with it. But I got my start by doing close-up magic, card tricks, and things like that. I'd like to show you just a little bit of an illustration, object lesson, if you will, of how I feel about Subtext. So my favorite card magician mechanic guy is a guy named Dennis Baer out of Germany. Fantastic guy, right? But in his instructions, he does something very interesting. He says, if you do this, this, and this, this end result will happen. It'll be beautiful, right? So it'd be something like, do a perfect pharaoh. That's what he says. Now, a pharaoh shuffle is where you take the cards and you weave them together like that. Now, it's not an easy move to do, especially just right out of the box. But it's that adjective, do a perfect pharaoh, that really throws the whole thing on its head. Because ideally, see, that's not a perfect pharaoh. Ideally, every card has to line up, right? So what I'm bringing this up for is when I do his routines, when I looked at them, I learned how to do them, I bust my knuckles practicing these things, right? I'm doing the right moves, I'm doing all the things you should do. But at the end of the day, the trick just doesn't work. For instance, it'll say things like, do a perfect pharaoh, give it a couple cuts, and then the cards should be lined up in order. You should have all the hearts, all the clubs, all the spades, all the diamonds still separate, right? And this is what I end up with. And this is not at all the end result. I go in, I'm following all the instructions, I'm doing everything that's supposed to be done, in my mind at least, and this is what I end up with, which is a whole lot of nothing. And that, unfortunately, is a good object lesson for how we feel about Subtext. That's it. Every time I sit down to play this game, I think, well, this is going to be cool, right? It's going to be, I draw these clues, and then the other person's going to know what I'm thinking, but the other people aren't going to know what I'm thinking because they don't have view of the words, and it just never works out like that. It never works out like that. It's never, ever, ever been a moment where we just had this popping light bulb go off in our head like, Eureka, we know it's each other. Like, I know I'm the secret person and they know I'm the secret person, but nobody else does. It just doesn't work like that. Now, maybe our group is either too dumb or too smart. I'm not really sure what side of the fence we fall on because we played this with a couple different groups. And both times, it just didn't work. Like the parts were there, the pieces were there, the formula was there, the sleights were there, as it were, if we're talking about card magic, yet it never fell into place. So as we're drawing, as we're doing this stuff, it just never clicked for us. It never worked. We never got that moment of, well, the clue giver and the partner got points and no one else did, or vice versa. The only time that people didn't get the clue, that obviously didn't get the clue, was a couple times when it was so obscure in a good way that the other person didn't get it. So we've never had a moment where everybody didn't just get it. Now you're probably saying right now, Bryan, blah blah blah, you're doing it wrong. You're drawing too obviously. I beg to differ. We aren't drawing so obviously that it's just, oh, obviously that's that. Sometimes yes, depending on who you get, right? If your word says tool shed and you draw a tool shed, well, that one's on you. But sometimes we would go super obscure and pull things out several layers, and yet it was still obvious no matter what we did. So again, this might be a problem with us, or it might be a problem with the system, but it wasn't just one or two tries. We've tried this multiple times. So I've gone a long way about to give you my final thoughts on this game, because we don't need to really go through the mechanics and final thoughts and all that. It's drawing, you're guessing, all that sort of stuff. We've got that. The point of this is, does it deliver the experience that it's supposed to deliver? And for us, no, it just didn't. It didn't quite deliver the experience that we thought it was going to deliver when it came to a drawing game. And we love games like Pictomania and things like that. So this one kind of broke my heart a little bit, because I thought this was going to be a great game we could slot in there to fill that niche of drawing games and stuff like that. But it just didn't feel like it for us. So unfortunately, Subtext is a pass for me. I hate saying that. I love the people behind this. I love everything about the companies that put it together. This one's a total miss for us in our group. I don't know. Maybe it's just us that's causing it to go wrong, but maybe you try this out. You let me know what you think in the comments below. Please, actually, let me know in the comments below what you think about this, how it works for your groups, whatever, and tell me where I'm going wrong in this game. Because I want to love it. I want this to work. It just isn't. Just not so far. It's not working for us. So that is Subtext from Wolfgang Warsch, Stronghold in the States. It's just a pass for me, you know. Like I said, love all those people, but man, just not this one. So I'm Bryan Drake here on the Dice Tower. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram at Dice Tower Bryan. And until next time, we will see you.
Thanks so much for watching another Dice Tower video. If you enjoy our videos, subscribe to the channel for more fun, comprehensive board game coverage. Also, consider joining us at one of our events. Come to Dice Tower Retreat, a small, intimate gathering where gaming is king. Join us for Dice Tower Cruise, the largest board game cruise. Attend Dice Tower West in Las Vegas, or gaming fun on the West Coast, or Dice Tower East in Orlando, in sunny Florida. Dice Tower Conventions, the friendliest gaming conventions on Earth. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.